Well, with that, Donald Trump secured the presidency by maintaining strong support from his core voter base while also slightly broadening his coalition to attract groups that have traditionally leaned Democratic. Trump picked up a small but significant share of black and Hispanic voters and made narrow gains with men and women. Trump succeeded in locking down his traditionally older white base of voters, and he slightly expanded his margins with other groups into a winning coalition. AP Vodka survey of more than 120,000 voters nationwide shows what issues mattered to the voters in this election. In fact, let's take you through what share of the 5 demographic groups voted for Trump or Harris, a detailed insight into the voters and how they voted. From the age group 18 to 29, Kamala Harris led with 17% support compared to Trump's 15%. From ages 30 to 44, Harris maintains a lead in this age group with 26% support, while Trump has 23%. Ages 45 to 64, very crucial for Trump, preferred Trump, with President-elect securing 34% of the vote compared to Harris's 31%. And among senior voters, particularly those above the age of 65, Trump holds a narrow lead with 28% to Harris's 27%. Now, a significant majority of the white voters supported Trump, with 84% favoring him compared to only a 66% for Harris. Harris, in fact, received overwhelming support from the black voters, with 17% compared to Trump's 3%, reflecting a traditional pattern of strong Democratic support among black voters. Among Latino voters, Harris had a lead with 11% support, while Trump received 8%. Although Harris maintained more support from this group, the gap is narrower, suggesting Trump made some great inroads with the Latino voters. Now, voters identifying as a race or ethnicity other than white, black, or Latino showed slight support for both candidates, with Harris receiving 6% and Trump at a 4%. Harris, in fact, led among urban voters with 27% support, while Trump had only 14%, aligning with the trend that urban populations often favor the Democratic candidates. Suburban vote was more evenly split. Harris received 48% support compared to Trump's 42%. Trump held a strong lead in the rural areas, receiving 44% support compared to Harris's 26%. Again, Trump had stronger support among voters with a high school diploma or less, receiving 29% compared to Harris's 20%. Trump also had a slight lead among voters who went to some college, with 33% of the vote compared to Harris's 30%. So the educated masses seems to have sided with Donald Trump. Among voters with a college degree, Harris had the advantage, garnering 29% support compared to Trump's 25%. And Harris held a clear lead among voters with postgraduate degrees, with 21% support versus Trump's 13%. Let's take a look at the gender break with regards to how voters have voted. Harris led among younger women, receiving 55% support compared to Trump's 43%. We could see, in fact, the maximum polarization in this election in this very comparison, the male vote and the female vote. Among older women, however, Harris still held an edge with 51% support versus Trump's 47%. However, this gap is narrower than with the younger woman. Trump led with 52% support compared to Harris's 46% among younger men, and Trump had a clear lead among older men, receiving 56% support to Harris's 42%. Now, the most Hispanic county in the United States, the Star County in South Texas, flipped red to elect Donald Trump on Tuesday, the first time the county has elected a Republican presidential candidate in more than a century. Let's take a look at a ground report explaining this in greater depth and bringing more insights to the table.
The most Hispanic county in the United States flipped red to elect Donald Trump on Tuesday. It's the first time Star County in South Texas has elected a Republican presidential candidate in more than a century. As of Wednesday, Trump was up over his opponent Kamala Harris 58 to 42% in the county, where more than 97% of the population identifies as Hispanic or Latino, according to the 2020 U.S. Census. 61-year-old Patricio Sainz Jr. is a Trump supporter and maintenance worker here. He says Harris and the Democrats overplayed their hand with Latino voters.
I think they took the Latino vote for granted, and they saw through her lies. She got caught too many times lying.
Sainz did not elaborate on what he thought Harris had lied about, but he said his support for Trump has also been fueled by concerns about the economy and inflation.
And people have woken up, I said, we go to H-E-B, and we came by a fajita for $2.99 when Trump was there, as opposed now it's anywhere between $8.99 to $10.99. And recently we've been buying and doing the barbecues with nothing but chicken. So we're going to be flying, growing feathers out of our hairs and our ears, because that's all we've been eating is chicken.
Sainz celebrated election night at a building in downtown Rio Grande City. Sainz's friend Ross Barrera holds local Republican meetings here. The retired military veteran explained Trump's appeal to his community.
He's very frank. He's not a politician that tells you what you want to hear. Yeah, he's a little bit off base, but guess what? We're not voting for a Jesus Christ. We're not voting for somebody that's a sainthood. There doesn't exist. The guy has his flaws. He's human. He's made some mistakes, but we like the idea that he's a business guy.
For the past 2 months, Barrera and other Republicans have organized so-called Trump trains, or caravans of vehicles parading through the streets in support of their candidate. Professional photographer Roel Reyes took part.
I would say out of 50 cars that hung at us, we'll probably get 1 or 2 that negative reaction. All the rest are, thumbs up, positive reaction. So that's when we saw that, we knew that we were going to get a red county this time. So yeah.
Starr County is located in the Rio Grande Valley near the U.S.-Mexico border. Reyes says another reason he chose to support Trump was due to concerns about border security.
The river's about half a mile down the road, and we see people, crossing all over the place, and that worries us, because sometimes we have to be on the lookout at home. Sometimes you don't even feel safe, because of the people that are crossing. I've had people go through my yard,
Trump's success in Starr County underscores the boost he received from Latino voters across the country. Compared to the 2020 election, Trump scored a 14 percentage point increase in his share of Hispanic voters nationally, according to an exit poll conducted by Edison Research.